Hi, this is Adam of American Teacher on YouTube. And if you haven't, please click subscribe under the video. And if you'd like, you can leave a thumbs up and a comment under the video. Today's topic is going to be about the automation of jobs, which is already taking place. And there are a couple of concerning predictions. There's one by Oxford Economics that predicts that 20 million factory jobs, only factory jobs alone, will be lost by 2030. And another report from McKinsey Global Institute predicts that about 70 million jobs overall will be lost by 2030. Now, if you think about it, it's not that far in the future. It's only about 9 years. And, you know, that's a significant amount of jobs. So what's going on and why is it happening? Well, I grew up in a small town in Tennessee, and we used to have thousands of factory jobs back in the 60s, 70s, and even up into the early 80s. My hometown had enough jobs for everyone who lived there if you were willing to work in manufacturing. And what happened is that those jobs started moving overseas because the trade laws became more beneficial for manufacturing overseas. And over time, the standard of living in America reached a point to where Americans were not willing to work for the same amount of money that people overseas were willing to work for in developing countries. So the factories started moving out probably around the early to mid 80s, and now there are almost no manufacturing jobs in my hometown. And this story is a common story throughout the United States. Most of the manufacturing jobs have gone overseas. And there's a multitude of reasons. Like I said, in a developed country, the standard of living reaches a point to where the people are used to a standard of living, and they're not willing to work for an amount of money that cannot support that standard of living. So basically, the U.S. Lost its competitive edge in manufacturing due to lower cost of production in other countries. So most of the manufacturing jobs are gone, and they're not coming back unless we become more competitive. And we're not going to do that by getting people to work for less money than they're working for today. That's not going to work. So how can we become more competitive? I think the answer is automation. And the U.S. could lead the world in automation of work. But you might wonder, what's going to happen to the workers? What's going to happen to these non-skilled laborers that are struggling to make ends meet even today? What are they going to do when jobs become outsourced to robots? And that's a good question. And I think we're moving into uncharted territory here. So conservatives would say, well, they can build robots. They can retrain, build robots, and still be useful. But what happens when robots build robots? What happens when we get to that stage? And I think this is something we need to think about now, because it could happen in the near future. So many people have talked about a universal basic income. And conservatives would say, well, you're paying people to do nothing and so you're rewarding laziness. People become a drain on society, and there's no way that we'll be able to sustain such a society. But they're not looking at the bigger picture, and that is, we live in a capitalist society, and capitalism is rather ruthless when it comes to competition. If you don't remain competitive, then someone else will eat your lunch. Someone else, I think I borrowed that from President Biden. But yeah, if you don't remain competitive, then another country is going to take your place. And China is leading the world in automation of jobs, replacing jobs with robots. So in order to stay competitive, we're going to have to automate. We're going to have to do more jobs with robots. And that way we can bring down the cost of manufacturing. We can reduce our reliance on countries that are our political enemies. It will increase national security. But then you have to think about the laborers. And you don't want a large group of people who are very unhappy and unable to sustain themselves through legal means in your country. So yeah, if we don't address this problem, we can't outlaw automation. I mean, this is a steamroller that's coming, and we can't stop it. So what can we do? Well, I think we need to put laws in place to tax the use of robots. And this has been talked about by people such as Bill Gates before. But if you think about it, companies will save huge amounts of money, obscene amounts of money, by automating jobs. And we will still need infrastructure for everyone. And in order to pay for this infrastructure, for roads, schools, buildings, public buildings, governments, we will need to tax these robots. And I think we need to quickly start writing up laws to cover that, and hopefully ironclad laws so that that companies can't get out of paying their share of taxes. And we need a universal basic income. We need to guarantee that people are taken care of, because we're getting into a society where the rich are not earning their money. They are, they're earning money, but they're not earning the money that they're being paid, because they have lots of people under them that do most of the hard work. They make the big decisions. So we need a system to pay the people who've lost their jobs. Not everyone can go to university. Not everyone can get a degree. I mean, it would be great if that was possible, but not everyone can pass the courses. What do we do with those people? We can't just ship them off to an island somewhere. We have to take care of them. It's our responsibility. And if we don't, the crime will continue to rise when these people turn to illegal methods to sustain themselves. So, in summary, in the near future, more and more jobs will be replaced by robots. Our governments need to write laws in order to make us more competitive, but at the same time be able to take care of our citizens who have lost their low skill and non-skilled jobs. And yes, this is welfare. I don't see how we can have a society that is viable in the future unless you want some version of the Hunger Games without having some tax on automation that helps offset the loss of jobs. So that is my opinion, and I'd like to thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the box below, and please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching American Teacher. Bye-bye.